Why, hello there. Geez, the computer issues that I've been having, got all fixed. We're back to normal. This will be coming out the week after I got all the computer stuff figured out. Boy, that was a headache, but that's in the past. Let's focus on the future, and more specifically, the future of you choosing a new army or your first army for Warhammer 40k. Welcome to Realm Painters. Like I said, in today's video, I'm going to be covering the different armies that I would recommend based off of the different factions of Warhammer 40k for a new player or a beginning person, or just really good second armies. I broke them down into the Imperium of Man, Chaos, and Xenos. So, because some people aren't really into the Space Marines, some people aren't really into Chaos, some people aren't really into the Xenos. So I broke it down to better coordinate what your interests are for this video. Now, before we get into the video proper, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'm going to explain to you the rules of engagement for this project that I've done. There are 3 rules specifically. Rule number 1 is ease of collection. How easy is it for you to collect a reasonable list and or a reasonable amount of points, or models that you could collect? Because at the end of the day, I think we're all collectors, so as long as the army has a good range or at least is cheap to collect. Rule number 2, ease of paint. One thing that seems to be like a good stopping point for a lot of new players is the fact that it is a painting hobby. Therefore, painting can be kind of a caveat that a lot of people get stuck on. So what I'm looking for is easiness on painting. And then rule number 3, rules. Some armies in this game are very, very complex and have a lot of rules that play off of a lot of rules that play off of a lot of rules, or the lack of rules. So you don't really get to learn different parts of the game. So that's why I've chosen the armies that I've chosen. And if you have any recommendations, old hobbyists or people who know what they're talking about, leave them down in the comments below. Let's actually get into this. Now I'm going to get the easy, simple, and true answer out of the way. Choose whatever army you think looks cool. Rules change dramatically between each edition. Me as a Thousand Suns player, looking at how much the Codex changed our army rule for this edition, they change dramatically depending on the edition. So always choose an army that you would want to collect, because at the end of this day, it is a collecting hobby, not necessarily a tabletop hobby. I mean, it is a tabletop hobby, but you're going to be spending a lot of money on little plastic men or women, and you should choose the ones that you want, not necessarily the ones that are good. But let's get into the answers that you really want. Starting off with the Imperium of Man.
Hans, are we the baddies?
Now, for the Imperium of Man, I've chosen 2 different armies, 2 different very obvious armies, for very obvious reasons, and for 2 different reasons. The first army is Space Marines. Now, I know. There's plenty of Space Marine players out there right now, but you cannot look me in the eyes and tell me that Space Marines was not designed to be the beginner army. They have rules for every single step. They have relatively simple models to paint, and I'm not talking about the special snowflake, Space Marines like Space Wolves and stuff. I'm talking about generic Space Marines. They are, by design, simple. However, the negative to that is, by design, they are boring. I had a Space Marine army that I sold, mainly because I did not enjoy playing them. I had fun painting them. I found that Space Marines are pretty simple to paint. Even though they've got flat surfaces, stippling is a really good way, or just glazing, or there's plenty of different techniques to paint Space Marines. But their army rule it's boring. It really is, and I had no fun playing the Space Marines because they didn't really have any flavor. But if you're wanting to learn how to play the game and wanting an army that, depending on the edition, is either broken or really mid, Space Marines are a good choice. Now, my second choice, also relatively straightforward as to why I chose it, is Custodes. If you're new to the hobby, Custodes is by far, without a doubt, the cheapest army to collect. I bought 2 boxes, a character, and a land raider, and have 2,000 points of Custodians. They are extremely easy to buy. They're extremely easy to paint, depending on your paint scheme. I have the black and gold and red ones, which is a little bit more complex, but like literally just prime them gold, wash them with some sort of shade, and they're done, basically. They're very simple to paint. Building is a different story. I don't know what was wrong with my attempts at building the bikes, but I did not enjoy it. It was a rough time. So building is, maybe it's just I don't really enjoy the building process of this whole hobby. I enjoy the painting and the playing, but the building for some reason just does not click with me. Onto the rules side of things, Custodes are really good. They're very, very strong. They're an extremely elite army. You're probably, if you're trying to do the goals that I set with my previous video of the top 5 things I would recommend, the 500 point goal, you get the combat patrol and you have almost 1,000 points. You're set. They're a hyper elite army. They're very good, and yeah, no, I would recommend if you're just wanting to play the game and do it cheaply, Custodes is your choice. But let's get out of the boring humies and move on to the better factions.
Blood for the blood god! Victory brings immortality!
Chaos is going to be our next faction, and it is going to be the hardest faction to choose from, because unfortunately, Chaos has something known as Chaos Trim, which means literally every single army is very hard to paint for a new painter if you don't know how to cheese it. However, I did choose 2 different armies that I think are decent enough for beginners. Firstly, World Eaters. World Eaters is I haven't looked at their new codex, so I'm not sure about now, but they were a very simple rule and idea, and I figure that they're probably pretty simple to just understand in general. World Eaters are you scream and you punch. That's their whole mindset. You just scream and you punch. And they are probably the easiest to paint so far with the named factions of Chaos. The reason I say that is a lot of their armor has either gone missing or doesn't have nearly as much trim as the other ones. And for those of you who are curious, yes, it is surprisingly easy to paint skin if you know how to do it. I will do a full tutorial eventually on how to paint skin fast and simple. It's you basically do a base coat and then you do a wash and then maybe a highlight. It's they are very muscular, so that helps a lot with the paint side of things. Like I said, I don't really know too much about their rules, but they seem pretty simple to understand. They're also relatively elite. I was looking at the point value of their combat patrol and stuff, and I believe their combat patrol is just over 500 points. So if you were wanting to do the 500 point goal, all you need is a code or their combat patrol. So that's what I would recommend for the first army. And the second army, it might come as a little bit of a surprise if you aren't aware. It is the Emperor's Children, which is the brand new Chaos faction, the pink and or purple and or magenta and black and other colors. They're the Slaneshi ones, right? It might come to surprise you, but from what I can tell, they're pretty simple to paint. At least that's what Sheridan's saying. She's got her Emperor's Children that she's painting, and God, they look really good. She's doing an extremely detailed, like each model is taking her a long time. But she said that the basic premises of the models are very simple, very easy enough to paint. Shouldn't take you that long, especially if you're just trying to speed paint them. They're pretty elite, and their rules are really interesting. They're very fun looking. They're very flavorful, and I'm a very big flavor guy. So I don't really have much to say for Chaos. If you're a new player, just be aware that Chaos is very difficult to paint, no matter what level you are. A lot of people will say that the hardest faction to paint is Thousand Suns, but they're wrong because Thousand Suns are cool. That's my secret choice for Chaos, is do Thousand Suns. I have a whole tutorial explaining to you why Rubric Marines specifically can be easy to paint and don't take nearly as long as a lot of people want to imply. Also, they're just really cool space wizards, so...
It's probing time.
Now on to the Xenos. And in the Xenos comes the true, actual, legitimate best faction to play if you're a new beginner. They are by far, without a doubt, not only the easiest army to paint, but also rules-wise pretty simple to understand. Their army rule is... I guess I should probably actually tell you what army it is. It's Necrons, if you hadn't guessed. Necrons are the best faction for a new beginner. Their army rule is very, very simple and very, very cool. Basically, when your unit, say you have a unit of guys, right, in the middle of the battle, say a couple of them die. You roll a d3, and that's how many wounds for that unit you get back. And the Necron warriors are 1 wound, so you get like 1 to 3 guys back for each Necron unit that you have. So the rule is very simple, very easy to understand. They're extremely easy to paint. However, looking at their codex, because I have a Necron army, if you can't tell from the Catan shard sitting up there, their different detachments don't really have a lot of flavor, which for a new player is probably better, because it's simpler and easier to understand. However, I really wish they had a little bit more nuance to them, or something to that effect. They're really, really fun to play. I can't recommend them enough. You can do some really dumb lists that are really just really fun to play. But that brings me to my last faction in Xenos, and my last faction of the easiest armies to start. And that is Tyranids. Now, Tyranids are my only horde army on my list. And the reason they're on my list is because they're really easy to come across. On eBay, you'll pretty easily find stuff that are just people wanting to get rid of their bugs or whatever it has. The Leviathan box was also a really good thing to come across. And came with almost, I think it's like 800 points of Tyranids just in that one box. It was a very good deal, and I'm pretty sure you can still find those on eBay. However, it is a horde army. You're going to be painting the same little guy about 70 times. And it was something that I couldn't handle. Just ended up giving my Tyranid army to Sheridan. And she's currently painting them. They look really good. She's doing a mixture of cutesy chocolates and bugs. I think she's got like the flower praying mantis vibes for her Von Ryan Leapers, and then she did the whole chocolate Valentine box video for her Neurotyrants, or not Neurotyrants, Neurogaunts. So be sure to go check that video out. It didn't do nearly as good as we were hoping. She put a lot of time and effort into it, so go check that out. Warhammer is expensive. It's kind of harder to get into. There's a lot of different chunks of this hobby. However, I really and truly am happy to see a lot more people getting into this hobby. And I thought I'd give my little 2 cents as to what I view as the easiest armies to get into, easiest armies to collect, whatever it has, the rules that I said in the beginning. But that's all that I have for you guys today. So as always, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and comment down below what your first army was if you're an old hobbyist, or what army you are interested in playing if you're new. And I will catch you guys in the next realm. See ya.